HCMC stock update today. The contradictions in HCMC stock. So right now this is a live feed or live 1 minute chart of HCMC stock right now. As usual, it is the regular barcoding that we are looking at right now. So we can see the volumes for the last few minutes, or thereabout 13.809 million shares. Let's get the volume so far in this session. The time is 12:28 Eastern US time. So the volume so far in this session is 432.557 million shares. I can't exactly say whether that's above average or not. So what we have observed, or rather before we go into what we have observed about HCMC's, some anomaly in the stock. On Monday the 15th of November 2021, HCMC delivered an increase in gross profit, resulting in a 19% reduction in operating loss year over year. Gross profit from operations increased by approximately $14,000 for the 3-month period that ended on the 13th of September 2021, amounting to $1.38 million compared to $1.36 million for the same period last year. So now let's have a look at and see what we are talking about here. So this is the chart of this is a static chart of HCMC stock, and then look at down here. This is the accumulation distribution chart. Let's widen it further. So this is sometime early June of this year. So the underlying trend for HCMC's accumulation distribution indicator, that's what you're looking at right now. This indicator is a bullish one. Obviously you can see that it's a bullish one. That's the underlying trend. It's moving upwards, upward sloping. It's a bullish one, you know. So but the stock itself, the underlying trend is a bearish one. That is what it's you can see the readout here says here. The stock appears to be in a strong bearish trend, strong one at that, you know. So this is some sort of, it's usually not what is the norm. The norm is that when the stock is bearish, the accumulation distribution would also be bearish, but it's not what we are looking at right now, you know. So this, like I pointed out, this buying kicked in from early June up till early August, sometime here, up to early August. This accumulation was in high gear. You can see how the slope is. It's much more. This section of the slope is steep, a lot more steep than what has continued to happen thereafter. You know, so it was in high gear then. And if you look at the chart, you can see that yes, also to some extent this momentum indicator does reflect that, even though it was overbought at some point and retraced down into oversold, but after that it continued to extend up to this early June, and it never actually fell into the oversold territory or anything like that. So yes, indeed, to some extent the 14 period slow oscillator reflected that upward trend as well. And we can also see there as well that there was some sort of volatility. You can see visibly the stock, even though that's not by a huge amount, but at least much more visible than what we're looking at right now since late September or thereabouts. So you know, there was more. The frenzy was a lot stronger then, you know. So the implication. So why do we have this relentless accumulation amid this bearish trend in the stock? One that even keeps getting worse, or if not, well, one that even that is getting worse. Well, the implication of this contradiction is that the bearishness of, or the selling that we have been seeing of late is not sufficient to support. It can't be supported. It's not sufficient to support the accumulation. Yes, it's not sufficient to support the bearishness. That's what it simply means. So we know very well, you know, or rather we think the net effect of this barcoding we have been seeing for several months now, and indeed the buy-in, you know, the people are the short sellers are using their quants to barcode the stock, and indeed also a lot of us are also buying it. So all of these activities, the net effect of all of them has ensured that the accumulation has now continued to increase and increase and increase, you know. So, and we all also know very well that we have been told to, or been urged to buy and buy, and rather hold and hold and hold, buy and buy and hold, and we have been doing that. So the net effect, it has continued to play out. You know, we have seen that, it is visible, it's evident. We have been buying and we have been buying and we have been buying, you know, or rather we have been holding and also buying as well. So it seems we have been reducing the number of shares within the float that is available to be traded on a given day, because we buy and we keep holding. We accumulating them, and when we are accumulating them and we buy them and just stay inactive, buy, stay inactive, buy, stay inactive, we also reduce the number of shares that is available to be traded. You know, even though we are buying, we are also not as active as the sellers. The short sellers have you know, taken advantage of the low volume of shares that is available to be traded on a given day. That is why we are seeing this bearishness, you know. So we are buying, but the number of shares that's available to be traded is very small. That's why we are ultimately seeing a downward trend in the stock. So they're definitely the short sellers are definitely more active than sellers as it concerns HCMC. So it seems we are buying and holding while the scalping short sellers eat from our relative inactivity. That's what evidently that's what is going on. So do we have to wait for only positive developments before we start buying more and more? Is that what we have to do? That even when we have had what looks like a positive development, we really didn't see a huge spike in the stock as such. So, well, I would say since HCMC has close to 1 million shareholders, okay, see here, this is as at the 20th of April. The number of shareholders, according to HCMC and themselves, I think, was 400,000 shareholders. And since we know from April, after April, the popularity of the stock even grew more. So I would just put it at 1 million shareholders. So we believe there are up to 1 million shareholders of HCMC stock. And if each shareholder committed $10 a week, so we're looking at $10 million trying to buy more and more HCMC stock. I think each week the net effect on the stock will be a bullish one. I think so. If each shareholder commits $10 a week, the stock will probably stop moving sideways. I think it's possible. Let's just quickly have a look at the weekly chart and see what the trend is like there. Okay, it's not so wonderful. It's still very much bearish, moving sideways. Let's see whether we can. It should still be a bearish one on this more static. Okay, we don't. There's no weekly chart here, so we can't really see that here. So all in all, I think what is evident and what we know from statistics concerning our stocks, when we have this bearish trend, underlying bearish trend, in a strong strong bearish trend, and we have accumulation, all it simply means is that anytime soon the stock can spike. What it means is that the sideways movement is likely to continue, or rather it's not likely to result in a sharp decline. That is what is certain. That's what is certain. So we are holding, and we're holding the stock. We have kept it moving, or we have kept it on a cruise mode for some time, since at least for sure since late September. We have kept the stock on a cruise mode, but we can actually take it off from that mode and let it spike a bit more. So it's all in our hands. If we want the stock to move more further, we have to commit more money and let it move up. Indeed, I know You may want to do that only when you get positive outcomes concerning the stock. But all in all, we have a contradiction going on right now, which is that the underlying trend is bearish, but the accumulation is bullish. So see what you make of HCMC and look into this yourselves, and thank you very much for watching this video.